Hello and welcome everybody to today's webinar about bicycle training in Graz, a citywide bicycle training for children in 4th grade. This webinar is part of the METAMORPHOSIS project, and our today's presenter will be Jörg Ofner from the Austrian Mobility Research group, and he is actually coordinating the bicycle training in Graz. My name is Melanie. I'm also working for the Austrian Mobility Research Group, and I will be today's host. If any question arises during the presentation, please use the chat for asking them. I will collect all of them so that none gets lost, and Jörg will try to answer them after this presentation. So with that, I hand over to Jörg.
Well, hello, and thank you in participating in today's webinar. I will talk about the bicycle training in Graz, which is a citywide bicycle training for children in 4th grade. So I've heard that a lot of people from other countries are watching, so welcome, and I appreciate it. I hope you are all well, and let's start. I want to give you some facts in the beginning about the training. In 2019, we trained around 2,000 children from 90 classes. The children attend the 4th grade, so the age group is around 9 to 10 years, and we split the class in 2 groups. We train with 2 trainers per group and up to 13 children per group, but 13 children is quite a big group, so this should be the maximum. This is already quite big, so smaller groups are advisable, of course. 2 hours of training per group are quite enough, so because the children can get exhausted, they are not used to cycle like for long distances, and maybe the attention level will fall. We split the training in 2 phases. So the first phase is the training in a protected area, which is mainly the schoolyard. And the second phase is the training in traffic space. So our training is funded by the city of Graz and an insurance company. And therefore, we can offer the training free of charge for schools, which is an important reason for the high number of attending classes you see above. Also, I want to add, in Austria, the children can take a voluntary cycling proficiency test. And the training of FGM AMOR should be a good measure to prepare them for the test. But we see it mainly as a training for safe cycling in traffic. We call our training experts on the road, as the children should become little experts after the training. So on this picture here, you see what I think would be an ideal group size of about 8 children. But of course, due to classes up to 25 pupils, we do have bigger groups in general. In schools with children from many low-income families, like on this picture, bicycle ownership can be a limiting factor for the training, but it's not our main problem we face when we implement the training. But I will give you some numbers in a few slides, so I prepared something. The children that are attending the training can cycle in general, but most of them are not familiar with cycling in traffic. So we have very few children that are not able to cycle or to ride a bicycle, but this is fortunately still an exception. On the next slide, I want to talk about why we do the training in traffic space and why don't we stay on a protected school ground. And what you see in this picture is the so-called Verkehrserziehungsgarten in Graz. So we can translate this as a traffic education garden. And you may already encounter a few problems when you look at this area. So the main thing I see as a problem here is that there is no traffic but just children cycling on what looks for them like a playground. So the proportions don't fit the real traffic area. It's very small in general. So this area is free to use, so children can train there. And important for the children, the practical cycling test is held there by the police. So in other cities and municipalities around Graz or in Austria, the test is mainly held on street, so in real traffic area, but in Graz, it's held on this area. So this system is quite stable for many years now, and it seems unlikely to change. We try to keep working on it. We want to bring the test to the street as well, because that's the area where the children will cycle. So we advise the parents to practice in this area, but we train in real traffic area to prepare them for the what I call the real world where they are supposed to cycle. If you look at the next pictures, you see that the outside world is quite different to this playground, and the traffic situation is way more complex. If you have other road users, parked cars, hedges, other cyclists and pedestrians. And there's a big difference for the children if there's car traffic present in the training area. So we have to deal with construction sites like you see on the right picture, with pedestrians, other cyclists, and also, we all know it, with a lot of wrongdoing of other road users. So we try to prepare the children for that as well. Adult people are not always the best role models, so cyclists as well as other road users. And yeah. I tried not to pick the worst pictures I got, but these are some daily situations you will face when you ride your bicycle in traffic in the city of Graz, even if we do have a lot of designated cycling infrastructure. So cycling paths, like on the left picture, they are not always as broad as in the training area. There's a lot of illegal parking on cycle paths, like you can see in the picture in the right, because fees are quite low in Austria. And yeah, and so on. And as a lot of people don't follow every rule in traffic, we accompany the children when they do their individual exercises in crossings, like you can see in the upper right. But I will talk about the training process next, so I can describe the process with showing some pictures. So as I said in the beginning, we split our training process in 2 phases. Phase 1 is the training in a protected area, so which is mainly the schoolyard. Nearly every school here has a yard that we can use. And every child that seems capable to cycle in traffic in a small group can attend phase 2. So in phase 2, we will do the training in traffic space in the school surroundings. If we see in phase 1 that bicycle is not safe for cycling in traffic, we try to swap with other children's bicycles, which normally works quite well. So, and I will describe the training process in more detail in the following slides, and I will show you some pictures. So as said before, we start in a protected area where we check the bicycle equipment, and we do some exercises with the children. So they have to do at least 3 exercises. In the first exercise, they have to brake on a stop line. In the second exercise, they have to look back over the left shoulder, as we have a right-hand traffic in Austria, and they have to recognize what's behind them. So either we show them some symbols or simply hold up our hand and show them a certain number of fingers. And they have to shout at us how many fingers they see while cycling. In the third exercise, we train the left hand signal. So they have to look back over the shoulder again and show us a left-hand signal. And while doing these 3 exercises, we can check if the children are capable to cycle in traffic, if the bicycle is safe. So if we decide to go outside, and most times we can take all the children outside, we cycle with 2 trainers. So one trainer will go in the lead and the second one in the back. It is possible for teachers to join the training, but normally we stay, they stay in class and 2 trainers will handle the group. So we cycle in school surroundings, we take a look at different crossing situations, different priority rules. We discuss complex traffic situations. You see we cycle in mixed traffic here with car traffic. This picture is taken in a traffic current zone, so with 30 kilometers an hour maximum. We talk about the priority rules in the crossing and of course about road signs. So we try to cover the most important road signs like a stop sign, a give way sign, and so on. And most times the children are prepared by the teachers because they learned for their theoretical exam before. What's special in the training, we try to practice to turn left correctly with every child, at least at 2 crossings with various priority rules. So this is a quite challenging situation for children at this age because they have to do a lot of steps to turn left correctly. And we try to assist them, but they can decide on their own. So we will split up. So one trainer stays with the waiting children and one trainer here with like Melanie on this picture is waiting at the crossing. So that the children are always in reach and we can stop them from doing an unsafe turn. So they can decide on their own, but if we think they don't assess the situation correctly, we can stop them. After that, the children get feedback, personal feedback. So we take some notes while waiting on the crossing. And we try to do at least 2 crossings so they can practice a second time. And what I can say is that the children really soak up this feedback. So this is an important point of the training, and they really want to learn what they can do better, or they like to hear if they did everything correctly. So it's a very important point of the training process is the feedback, the individual feedback. In the beginning, I talked about this voluntary cycling proficiency test, which is held in Austria. It takes place in 4th grade, so that's the class we are training. The teachers do the theoretical exam in school, as it is part of the curriculum. And the second part of the test is a practical one, and it's held by the police on the training area I showed you before. So this strict-looking guy is not a policeman, it's a colleague. And what I've done here is that I evaluated the positive exams of this practical test for the last 10 years. And as you can see, the results are actually quite bad. So around 40% of the children that took part in this test, they weren't able to pass with a falling tendency in the last years. So this is very, very much different in surrounding areas, in other towns and municipalities, where most of the children will pass the test. So it is one little indicator to measure the cycling skills of children, but I would be very, very carefully to say that about 50% of the children in Graz can't ride a bicycle. So, but what we can say after looking at this graph is that bicycle training in traffic is needed because the traffic situation is way more complex in the city. If the children pass both parts of the test, so the theoretical one and the practical one, they can get a driving license, which allows them to cycle on their own in the age of 9 to 10, if it is fine for the parents. So I still got mine. It hasn't changed over the years, as you may notice have changed. And this whole system is quite rigid, so it hasn't changed for many years. So we deal with it. However, every single Austrian will remember his or her tests, as it is a very important event in the life of a child and is a big step towards independence as a child. So if they don't pass this test at the age of 9 to 10, they can legally cycle in the age of 12 on their own. And of course, they can always cycle when they are accompanied by older persons, so older than 16 years. We thought about why are the test results that bad in the city, and we made a parent survey in the year of 2018. We asked different questions. I want to show you two of them. The first one, we tried to find out maybe bicycle ownership is a problem. Maybe not enough people own a bicycle and that's why they can't practice. But as you see here, the majority, the parents as well as the children, they state that they do have a bicycle. So about 90% stated that the parents as well as the children own a bicycle, and just 4% say that the children don't have a bicycle to train. So I think that's not the main problem, but let's look at the next graph. We ask if the people do cycle with the child in traffic. And you see on the left that about 3% cycle on a daily basis, and about 21% they cycle 1 to 2 times a week, which is good, I think. But the problem, I think, is this group, and we see that about 50% of the parents cycle less than 1 to 2 times a month or never with the children in traffic. And I think that's the main reason why the children fail the test, because they simply don't have practice on the street. So some future goals should be to put the parents on the bicycle, and we have to get them to cycle too. So this would be the key to educate the children, because one training can't be enough. So more trainings would be appreciated, of course, and more time to train, like 2 times a class would have a big effect. But without the parents, it's very difficult. And of course, child-friendly and safe cycling infrastructure is needed to start cycling in traffic. So they won't start on a main road. I tried to talk about some challenges when implementing the training. So to give some tips if you want to start something in your own town. So in Graz, we are kind of blessed because the personnel costs are funded by the city of Graz and an insurance company. So this helps us immensely to get the schools to take part in the training, as they don't have to collect the money from parents and other sources. And this would mean a high effort for schools that are already overloaded with organizational tasks. So this is a big benefit. And in my opinion, funding is maybe the biggest challenge for implementing the training, but of course not the only one. So which is important too, you need insurance for the trainers, of course, and at least you need a liability insurance for the damage to parked cars, etc., which can happen and which will happen, not often, but you have to deal with it. And it is advisable to coordinate the training with the local school council. So depending on the legal situation in your country, you should coordinate that. In our training is declared as a school-related event, which means that during the training we are insured like teachers go on a school trip. So this makes a big difference. And yeah. And last but not least, you need to find a good and responsible team. Because when you cycle with a group of children in traffic, they need good social skills, experiences in interacting with children, as well as a high amount of responsibility is needed, of course, and we have that. So some tips and tricks if you want to implement the training in your town. One tip would be to educate the trainers as good as possible. So for example, in Austria, there was a curriculum was launched in 2018 for bicycle trainers especially, so by the ministry. It's only in German, but if someone is interested, I can forward you the link. You need to calculate a high amount of personal contact with the headmasters, the teachers, to promote the training. So I spend a lot of time on the phone to organize the training, to organize the dates, to coordinate the dates, to help the schools to organize the training dates and so on. So a lot of people call me to fix the training or even the test. Here some references from already attending schools will help you. You should prepare some good information for teachers and parents as well. So I would set up a letter of acceptance for the parents. Here's an example of our letter. We send them a lot of information, maybe too much, because this can be a problem. If the parents aren't familiar with, it's not their mother's tongue or something, they have to translate it. So keep it simple, but keep it quite strict. So they have to sign that form that they know that we are cycling in traffic with the children, that we swap bicycle and so on. I try to answer the question, where can a training like we do in FGM AMOR be held? So basically, I think every city with at least a minimal existing infrastructure, cycling infrastructure, and with traffic calmed zones in school surroundings can be considered as training area. So we do not cycle on main roads with car traffic if possible. We mainly keep staying in traffic calmed zones. We do cycle in mixed traffic, as you can see on the left picture. But if it is available, like in the right picture, we use designated cycling infrastructure, like this cycle path. So our goal is to prepare the children for realistic scenarios they will face. That's why we stay in the school surroundings, as it is most times their area of living and where they start to cycle in traffic. We often get asked what we do about bad weather. And when you look at poor Melanie here on this picture, we learned in various trainings in bad weather, the children don't care. They don't care at all. They really want to cycle and they are looking forward to the training. So they will participate. But of course, you have to make sure that they are well equipped, which again can be a problem in schools that are attended by children from low-income families. So our advice, of course, is to do the trainings in good weather, as the positive impression of cycling will be higher. Our training is often the first time for children. I tend to ask this to children. It's very often the first time for them to cycle in traffic. So I think it's an important nudge to encourage them to cycle with the parents. And I think the training is a very important measure to empower those children in using their bicycles in public space. And as you see in the picture, they really enjoy it. So I want to close this short presentation with one of my favorite quotes. Dealing with these topics, it comes from the former mayor of Bogota, and it says that the measure of a good city is one where a child on a tricycle or bicycle can safely go anywhere. So if a city is good for children, it would be good for everybody else, and I can state that too. So thank you in participating in today's webinar. If you want to contact me, use the number and email address. We still got a lot of time for questions, and I think Melanie will sum them up now.
Yes, hello. We already do have some questions.
Okay.
I'm gonna read the first. So it's from Lucas, and he's asking if in your eyes, how does your great bicycle training mainly differ from common bicycle exams that are held all over Austria and usually taking place at school and in support of policemen? Is it an additional offer for schools, or is it done instead of the common bicycle exam?
No. I think it's a good addition. And we encourage the schools to take part in as much trainings as possible, because I think every minute that a child spends on a bicycle is a good minute. So we don't replace any other training, and we don't replace the test. But I think what makes our training special is that we try to train most of the time in real traffic, and that's what just very few people are doing. Because the most of the training stay in protected area. We start in the protected area, but we try to spend as much time in real traffic to prepare them for the realistic scenarios as possible.
Okay, we do have some more questions from Anna. Who provides the bicycles for the training, or are the kids allowed to use their own bicycles? Those are the first two questions.
So the people attended, the children attended training with their own bicycles. So we go to school on our own bicycles. We bring a few materials for the training. We don't need much. Some chalks, the warning signal vests, but the children have to bring their own bicycle and their own helmet. So I think it's a good way because they are used to their own bicycles, and also we can check and we can say to them, hey, your bicycle isn't safe for traffic, which often happens. So they attend with their own bicycles, yeah. We don't come with a big car and full of bicycles or something like that. We just cycle there. So it's you don't need a high amount of money to start the training. So you don't need much material in the way we do.
And what if they do not have the equipment?
We try to swap. So we ask the parents if we are allowed to swap the bicycles. So because we split the class in two groups, when half of the class has bicycles that are okay to use in traffic, it works quite well. All over Graz, we have one or two schools where it's difficult to get enough bicycles, but it works. So if you swap, it's okay. It's not the biggest problem we face. Yeah.
Okay, some further questions.
Yeah.
Do the children receive some kind of bicycle driving license at the end?
Not from us. So we just prepare them for the official license test, but they don't receive anything from us. Just the feedback we give them, and they remember the feedback. So when I cycle across the city and children at this age, they recognize me, I get a lot of greetings. Oh, okay, we have seen before. So they will remember the training. It's you come from outside, you go to school, you do bicycle training with them, they will remember the training quite long. They don't need any sign or something.
What does happen, or does it happen that some children do not want to participate or show little interest? How do you handle these situations?
we don't force them. And most of them want to participate really much. I think if you remember, Melanie, this year we had one child, she don't wanted to participate, even if the other children talked to her. So we don't force her, but this is like a very small percentage, below 1% or something. It's not the problem. They want to do it. And if they see other classes and the other children take part, they change their mind most times.
And if I might add something to that, if children is really that uncomfortable with riding a bike in the streets, it's usually not the best idea to actually convince this kid to do so, because there might be a reason, or she might know that she's just not on that stage yet. So,
or maybe they are traumatized from real accidents or something like that. So most times they take part in the training in the protected area, and after that we decide which children can we take out, and most of them accept it if we say you are not safe for cycling in traffic.
And if children don't want to go on the street, then we try to give them some tips how they can train biking or cycling at home with the parents, maybe, so that they might feel more confident and maybe go cycling with their parents one day. Yeah. Okay, we do have another question. How do you deal with fourth grade who haven't learned cycling at the age of 9 or 10? Well, I think that one was answered, but
I try it again. It's if they can't cycle at all, we can't really train on the street, of course. As we are two trainers, we use the time in the schoolyard to show them some tips how they can start to cycle. Most times they want to learn from us, but we won't take them out. So they can look at the other children, they can take part of the training in protected area. They will try, but we won't take them out if they are not able to cycle at all. It happens, but it's an exception, I think so, yeah.
We do have a question.
It's getting more. So we have to take a look at it. Okay.
We do have a question about the financial aspect of the training. What about the costs of the training? Who is paying for it?
We are funded by the city of Graz and an insurance company, so we can cope the whole personal costs from this funding, which is, we are blessed in the city of Graz that the city will finance the training. Because I think when we have to collect the money from the schools or something, it would be very hard to get this high number of classes to participate.
Do you have a number of the cycling model share for children in Graz? If so, for which age?
I can send it. I have numbers, yeah. But I have it not in detail in my mind. So, but I can look it up. If you remember me, I will send the answer. Yeah.
So everyone, like, that's a good hint. Every one of you who is registered will get an email with the recording of this webinar and a PDF version of the presentation, and we will add these numbers to the email. Do you know how much costs the training without the city funding, like approximately?
Just to calculate it, I would calculate about 500 euros per class to get an idea. So for one day, 2 trainers should be enough. Yeah.
So in the meantime, I will show you the METAMORPHOSIS homepage. most of you probably know it if you've registered using this portal. Here you can see all the, like it's metamorphosis minus project.eu. If you go here on webinars, you will find a list of the upcoming webinars. We do have French webinars coming on Thursday and Friday. Furthermore, we do have the same webinar in German. So if you know someone who's interested in listening to it and knows German, so you're welcome to invite those people. And we also do have the next English one is School Streets of Bolzano on the 7th of April at 11 o'clock. So if you're interested, click on the description, register for it, and you will receive an email with the Zoom link. You also can check out the past webinars that have been held already. And there, within the webinar description, you will also find a link to the recording of the webinar and a PDF version of the presentation. So if you're interested in other topics of how to create child-friendly cities, you're welcome to have a look at it. I think we did receive another question. Do you know, no, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
How much hours on average is needed in one day for the whole formation? Like how long does one training?
I would calculate 5 hours. We train about 2 hours a group, but it takes some time to collect the children, to unlock the bicycles, to put on the jackets. And normally we do a break between the two groups of about 20 minutes, half an hour, because it's, yeah, you can get quite exhausted after the training. You have to talk a lot, and 5 hours should be enough. But if, 2 hours per group with some time around that.
And a thank you to Matthias. He just sent the model split or the model share. 8% cycling at age group 6 to 10, 9% age group 11 to 15 years. These numbers are from the year 2018.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Are there any more questions? So, yes. Thus, the parents are afraid to let their children to cycle in traffic.
Generally, I would say no. But there's a variation about all the schools in Graz. So I think the parents from low-income families in general don't have much problem with this. We get more questions from schools that are attended by high-income children from high-income families. But as we communicate a lot and they get a letter what we are doing, and because the school want to participate, which is also a key, it's fine. We get some questions over the year, but not the biggest problem, actually. Yeah, because the school wants to participate, and normally they think that what the school decides for the children, it's a good decision. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, if there aren't any more questions, I would say thank you to you, Jörg, for this very inspiring and informative presentation. And also thank you for attending and listening to everyone out there. I hope you've learned something. As I already mentioned before, you will receive an email with the link to the recording and the PDF version of the presentation. I hope you're all fine and healthy. And Thank you for listening. Thank you, Jörg.
Bye. All the best.
All the best to all of you.